What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 25 of the Assets Over Money
Two
podcast.
five.
25, man. That's a quarter. It's a whole quarter.
That's the whole quarter, bro.
Yeah. How you doing today, bro? Got you in the
Hey,
car today, man. What you in the back of the Bentley?
hey, man, if you want to call it that, hey, we'll go with it.
Yeah, we'll call it a Bentley. Don't nobody know. Actually, you
Yeah,
know what? They see the seats. You gotta hide the seat covers. You know what I'm saying? But the
there
Bentley.
you go. There you go.
Back of
Nah,
the
man,
Bentley.
everything is good, man. Been a productive day, bro. How about yourself?
Well, everything's going good, man. It's Friday Eve. Got a fresh cut today. If y'all cannot see,
Yeah,
fresh
you faded.
cut
You
today.
faded fresh, boy. Fresh fade.
Got to, man. It's been too while. I've been wolfing it the last shoot. I usually do every 2 weeks, man. But the last, it honestly went about 3.5, almost a month. Just busy, 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 man. In the evening, so I didn't have time to jump into the barber. But I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead, go today. Got a little bit of time. Knocked out some stuff at work, so I was like, yo, let me go ahead and go. Got it done. Now I'm good.
Yeah, yeah.
Feel like a
No,
new
that.
man. Feel like a new man, bro.
Hey, that's what a good fresh fade will do for you, bro. It'll make you feel like a new man.
Yeah. Always always like to joke on myself, but I'll be looking at my hairline sometimes. I'm like, dang, I don't know how many more fresh fades I got before, before I got to be fresh and bald, which is fine. You know, it's good. But, but I'm like, I wonder how many of these I got, man. But
Hey,
hey, I'm going to enjoy them while I can, you know?
hey, get that joint extra tight too, yo. Just
Mhm.
because, you know what I'm saying. Hey, you
Yeah,
ain't, if you feel like you ain't gonna have it, make sure it's extra tight now, yo.
facts. You know, you got them folks who be, flying out to Turkey, getting the hair plugs and they're coming back.
Hey,
I ain't going to do
you can
that.
keep that. If I go bald, yo, I'm just going
That's what
bald,
I'm
yo.
saying. If I'm bald, I'm bald, bro. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I look good bald, too. I seen myself before bald, you know?
Yeah, man, you gonna be all right, yo. You ain't no ugly dude, man. No Diddy, you know what I'm saying? You ain't no ugly dude.
But hey, I'm married with a kid, bro. I don't need nothing else. You know what I'm saying? So um, I'm good, man. But we ain't come over here to talk about my haircut, your Bentley, or me balding, the hairline receipt, or whatever, what have you, bro. We came here to talk about a couple different things, man. We came here to talk about today, a couple different topics. I notice y'all, we don't have a guest today. It's just me and Kev. Um, really want to just kind of go back to the fundamentals, man. We've had a couple guests, talked about a lot of different things, but really just want to bring it back to the basics, man. You know, the difference between assets and liabilities. How to create cash flow instead of chasing checks. So really, forming that mindset around it, and then why leverage can be a tool for you. How to use leverage properly as opposed to you know using debt improperly. And we'll kind of go into those, but I guess kind of jumping into it, man. Kev, assets, liabilities. Break it down for us. What is it?
Man, hey, listen, I've been like I've been really thinking about this, man. I've read a lot of books. Um, but I mean, it goes to one of the first books I read in my life, man, which was the Rich Dad Poor Dad book,
Yep.
right? That was the first full book I read from cover to cover, and that was in 2001, man. So it was, I've really been thinking about that, thinking about, you know, how our people are coming along right now because we've been trained to be almost to be slaves, man, to be kind of like robots in the matrix. You know what I'm saying? Because we've been trained from birth to go to school, get grades, go to college, get a degree, and find a job with benefits, so you can retire, right? But like most people want to be wealthy or rich or have some type of comfortability in their lives. They're not chasing a paycheck, and it just stuck with me. Like today, I was really really pondering it, man, and it was, why do so many people want checks? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like it's crazy, but people think that they can become wealthy because they can increase their pay or their salary, and that's like the furthest thing from the truth. Another thing is that I love my church, right? I love my church.
Yeah.
Another thing, I love my church, but we're doing this thing with Dave Ramsey, what is it? Financial Peace University.
Hmm.
And, Dave Ramsey, I know he's a good guy and he means well, but they're still preaching to get out of debt. And, in order to really be rich and wealthy, you got to have debt. And so like people don't understand how debt basically rules the world basically. I mean, if you look at our banking system, you know what I mean, you put $1 in, they can loan 10. And it's based off debt. So the more that they want you to put money in the bank and to be savers, but at the end of the day, savers are the ones who are losing money because the dollar bill is losing value, right? So to understand assets and liabilities, I think this is a perfect time. This is our 25th episode. I think this is a perfect time to kind of go back to it. But man, assets put money in your pocket every month, right? We've been taught that, your house is your biggest asset, right? Your house is your biggest asset. And to be real, to all the people out there, your house is not an asset. If you're living in that house and you're paying a mortgage or you're paying insurance or taxes on it, or, a light bill or a gas bill, it's taking money out of your pocket every month. So there's no way that that could be an asset. Now, granted, it is a savings bank, right? Because you pay down the mortgage, you have equity. It's a savings bank for sure, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a liability, right? I look at the book, the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and I was reading Robert Kiyosaki's other book, The Cash Flow Quadrant. I don't know if you've ever read that,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's another good one as well. And it's like, we get trained on to be, employees, right? And long as you're an employee, you're getting a paycheck, you're paying the most taxes. Even as most of the businesses out here now are like sole proprietorship businesses, right? So, in the cash flow quadrant, you got employee, you have, self-employed, you have business, and you have investor, right? The people that are getting paychecks, no matter if you're a doctor or a lawyer, you could be making 900,000 a year, right? You're paying 50% taxes because the more you get in your paycheck, the more Uncle Sam's gonna take his chunk out, right? And so like it had me thinking about assets and liabilities like all day today. And assets are putting money in your pocket every month. Liabilities are taking money out of your pocket. So if you're thinking about, your cars, your house, you know, college, college, college debt, student loan debt, credit card debt, that's the debt that you don't want. But if I could buy a building that produces 100,000 in cash flow every year, then that debt is good because someone else is paying it off and it's putting money in my pocket every month. So for the people out there that, really are thinking about, I'm working this job and I can't seem to get ahead, you're not going to get ahead with your job. Let's be honest with you. Your working income is not going to suffice for you, because you're basically paying into a 401k. And those paper stocks and bonds, I'm just not a big fan of, man. I'm just not a fan of them. You know what I mean? Now, granted, if we get our own stock on the market or something like that, that's different. But I'm not going out here chasing stocks and bonds. I'm not, right? I love tangible assets like real estate that I can leverage with the bank and it can put money in my pocket every month. So, assets put money in your pocket every single month, whether it's a business, whether it's real estate, whether it's commodities, or whether it's stocks and bonds, right? Those are assets that put money in your pocket. The only reason why I like real estate so much is because I can leverage it with the bank. The bank is always willing to give me money for it, right? And so you have to understand that if we buy houses, you know, you go out here and sell it, that's portfolio income. You're gonna get capital gains tax, right? But the best way to do it is to be able to buy and hold, go refinance it, pull the money out of it, because once you refinance it, that money's not taxable because it's a loan. And so, America is bred, off of debt. And so when I hear my church saying that they're about to go through, university peace with Dave Ramsey, I just cringe a little bit because, like, I know savers are not going to win this game of, the money game. It's just not going to happen. It's almost like my grandma used to put money under the bed, yo. She used to have the small $100 bills. I don't know if you remember them. I know you young, yo. You're young buck. But
Yeah,
hey,
I am.
listen,
You was talking about
yo,
2001 reading books. I'm like, damn, I was 5 years old.
dog, they used to have small $100 bills, bro, and she used to keep them joints under her bed, right? But that's all she knew, right? So at the end of the day, she was losing money because inflation makes the dollar bill go down. And so like we have to really focus on financial literacy for our, especially for our people, bro. Because like I mean, we falling short big time in the wealth gap right now. You know what I'm saying? Especially with, with blacks and whites and, Hispanics, we're falling short, bro. And 70% of white folks own houses, own real estate, and only 40% of blacks own real estate. So at the end of the day, we gotta continue to push forward on this on this subject, man, because for one, we gotta get our financial literacy up. We gotta get our asset columns up, right? Because you know one of the chapters that stood out in that Rich Dad Poor Dad book, looking back on it, was the rich don't work for money, right? And that used to baffle me, bro, because I'm like, well, what they work for then? If they ain't working for no money. And it's like the book never really told you exactly. It always hinted to it, but it didn't really give you like exactly what it is. And what it was is that they don't chase money, they chase assets, right? Income producing assets. Because if you can do that, then you can basically get cash flow every single month. You don't have to be there for it to generate, and you pay less taxes, right? I mean, what else should there be? I mean, I know people, we get taxed everywhere we go, from our earned income that we're getting from, income tax, state tax, you got a car tax, all these different taxes we paying for. And, it's our biggest expense. So one way that America and United States helps investors in big business is that if they if they create jobs or create, you know have employees, they pay way less tax than we do, than anybody else does, right? And so like that's one of the biggest things, man, that I've been really pondering on. And I know I'm kind of rambling right now, but I'm just thinking about my daughter. She's 7 now. I'm just thinking when she gets 9 and 10, and how I'm gonna school her on assets, liabilities, cash flow, and leverage, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you, for a long time, I didn't understand. I didn't know what cash flow was. I thought it was just having a wad of cash, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I didn't really understand that cash flow is an actual financial term, and it's one of the biggest terms that you can use and leverage with the bank. And it's like I didn't understand that till later in life, but now that I know, it's like once you see something you can't go back. That's me right now. Like I can't, like, even flipping houses, right? Like flipping. We're about to sell a house now. Right now we just flipped, and it's like I'm okay with that, but I know that I'm chasing apartment buildings, right? So it's even hard for me now to flip a house and have to pay capital gains tax on it. So now that I'm thinking about, cash flow and leverage, I want to hold on to the house that we have. The only reason why I'm selling it is because I bought it with a partner, right? And he wants to sell. So at the end of the day, we're gonna sell, get the cash out, and go do something else, right? But like, you know, I just think assets and liabilities, we have to drive it into our people's heads, into our kids' heads, and even if it takes playing Monopoly every night after they're 10, 9 or 10, and just schooling them on, four green houses, one red hotel, and having cash flow come in every single month. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's gonna go a long way, man. So, I know I'm rambling, but man, please take it away.
Yeah, bro. I think that you said a lot of good things there. You even that's a literally a quote directly from the book, and probably one of the more famous quotes from Rich Dad Poor Dad. Right, an asset puts money in your pocket, a liability takes money out. Simple, simple as that. And when you break it down, it's like, oh snap! It could be all be so simple, and a lot of things. Right, and we're kind of getting into the next topic as far as the cash flow goes. A lot of ways that people typically look at things is not how they are, so to speak. And what I mean by that, and I'm kind of, not saying it correctly, but I guess what I'm getting at is our perception of what wealth is 100% flawed. For the most part, like most Americans' perception of wealth is 100% flawed, right? A lot of people think that, I have a great job, I'm making, like you said, 900K a year, a million a year. which you're making great money. And a lot of times people who are making that money, you'd like to think they're being smart with it and, actually creating wealth for themselves. But that's not necessarily the case. A lot of people are actually, just trying to keep up the Joneses, right? So a lot of folks, right, think about it like this. The first thing you do when you get a raise is I got to go celebrate. I got to go, take myself out to dinner, or I got to go buy the new car. Or now that we got this raise, we can finally buy a bigger house, to impress our neighbor. You know what I mean? It's all keeping up with the Joneses. And that's just not the case, because just because your income increases, most people do is, oh, my income increases, I have more money to spend, so your expenses increase. So you may
Right.
think that you're not actually really growing. You know what I mean? From a monetary perspective, right? Once you break down the numbers, plus minus, all that kind of yada yada, right? Because if I have $10 and I'm spending five, and now I'm making $20 and I'm spending 15, I'm not growing. You know what I mean? I just gave myself more money that I can spend, which is completely okay if that's what the goal or what somebody wants to do.
Right.
But it's really about how can I, as opposed to saying, hey, I made more money, how can I, you know, I need to go buy this new car. It's really about, okay, I made more money. How could I buy an asset, buy a house, invest into something with that money that'll create cash flow that I can do whatever I want with it, whether it's reinvested or I can take that money that's reinvested and now that the cash flow I'm getting from that is paying for that car, as opposed to just spending your money on that. It's kind of taking it a step further. It's like, hey, how can I get this money to create more money for me, so that way I can use it to do some of the things that I like and justify it.
Yeah, man. And see, what I've learned in my journey is that the rich don't go out and just buy their luxuries, right? They use their assets to be able to pay for their luxuries. So if you're talking about that car, right? If I have cash flow and I just rent and refinance the building for $10 million, and I pull out 300,000, I mean I can go get a car with that 300,000 if I want, or with the cat and pay for it with the cash flow.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's coming out of my pocket per se, which it
yeah,
is, but it's still an asset that I just created through the cash flow and through the asset that I produced. And
yeah,
so, like, it just baffles me now looking back at it now and how I used to look at things and how I used to think about money. Like, we didn't learn about money in school. Like, they don't teach us that because they drill in for you to be a robotic employee, right?
yeah,
And I just made that up, a robotic employee. But that's, I mean, and then I think about the Matrix, right? And how they were batteries to basically run the real world. And until they actually woke up, they didn't know what they were in. They was just in their day to day lives, right? But they were really in the Matrix as a battery. And so that just stood out for me, man. And like, we get so caught up in the rat race and going to work for 40 hours a week and making someone else rich, we don't even think about assets or acquiring different type assets to put cash flow in our pocket and lowering our tax liabilities. So I just think that goes a long way, because you got a baby now, bro. And like he has to know, man, like it's a different way besides working for someone for 40 years. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, man. It's crazy too, bro. I remember seeing. I know we're talking about like cars and buying like luxuries and stuff like that, man. I've seen folks and have met folks to where they have like a Turo fleet, or they own multiple cars, and some of them are luxury cars. They rent them out, and in between every day they drive one of those cars. That's like their daily wrap, because they own multiple cars and they're nicer cars. They're renting them out at the same time. So that's a perfect way for you to, potentially, obviously there's a lot more that goes into it, but that's a way that you could potentially own the car that you want at the same time and have it generating you, income.
Yeah,
Uh,
man. I mean, that's an asset then, right? Because that
yep.
car is producing cash every single month. And if it makes more than the car payment, then that's a win.
Yep.
So I mean, that's just I'm just so thankful, you know what I'm saying? Because it's all about mindset, right? And that's another thing, is the mindset. We get so caught up in getting a job and working for someone for 30 years and having benefits that we don't even fathom or even think about how, an apartment building could generate 10,000 for us a month, right? We can't even fathom that. And like, you gotta realize, if you're getting 10,000 in cash flow a month, which that's, it sounds good for us, but that's not a lot of money, right? It's guys out here making hundreds of thousands a month on cash flow. and it's coming from their businesses, it's coming from their real estate, it's coming from their, their asset column, man. And like, I just want folks out there to know that, especially folks that look like us, right? Because we're at the bottom of the barrel, man, and the way things are going, it's going to keep getting worse unless you change your mindset. And see, mindset is the biggest thing, because that's what's going to keep you either, it's going to keep you moving forward and staying hungry, or you're going to be with the rest of the folks and just get passed by. Because what's going on in America right now is not rocket science, man. It's turning into the haves and the have-nots. And if you're not smart enough to pick up on the money game, and you just think you're gonna have a job, especially with AI out here, you're gonna be left in the dust, bro, because AI coming to take most of our jobs anyway. It's just facts, and we got to be smart about it, bro. So that's what I love what we do right here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just talking about real estate, talking about how we hedge against inflation, recession proof businesses with real estate. I mean, like, I just can't wait till my daughter get 9 or 10 so I can start schooling her own money. I mean, I'm schooling her already, but like, she's only 7 and she's not gonna get it till she gets a little older. But I'm excited for her because she has the whole world in front of her, man.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Another cool thing too about this podcast, man, is like, oh snap, might have jumped off on the on the call. Screen went black. But nah, well, till you come back. One of the coolest things I really love about this podcast is me and Kev are just, we're everyday people, man. Everyday people. We're not doing, you know, anything crazy. We're doing things that are 100% possible. And then also, we're just regular people. We're not folks with crazy high tax brackets and things like that. We're just like you. And if we can do it, trust and believe that you 100% can. And it really just starts with the mindset shift, really determining what you want and then kind of going after that. A good piece of advice that I heard a long time ago, and you've all probably heard about it, is observe what the masses are doing, observe what everybody else is doing, and do the opposite. Because if you do the opposite, you do something that is a little bit more challenging, you do something that is hard, chances are that's going to carry you to higher heights, to different levels. Because if you're doing everything that everybody else doing, you all are going to arrive at the same destination, and you don't want to necessarily do that. Like just today, like Kevin coming back on 2 screens. Here we go. But yeah, just example, just today, and this is completely fine, right? Like, but just today I was at a event I went and stepped in at work, and they were congratulating some of the the workforce, right? Which again, no knock on people who work jobs. We need those type of people in our economy to build the economy. So hats off to you. But yeah, they congratulated somebody who had been working in the same, the same job for 50 years. And everybody got up and was celebrating and clapping and going crazy. And I'm sitting here like, damn, to me, that was kind of like, maybe, if I'm being real, made me sad. It kind of hurt me a little bit, man. And I'm like, man, like I look at that and I'm like, damn, like good for him. And I'm sure they're happy and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, I pray that is not me. And I refuse to let that be me, because you can impact, start where you're at. You can impact a whole organization depending on what you do in your job. But like one of my goals, I want to impact millions and millions of people on my own accord, doing what I love, saying what I have to say without any type of worry about what I say can hinder my workplace or having to put a filter on myself, because that's not how it should be, man. I just want to be real with people, spread the truth, be real people, and help out as many people as I can. And
Yeah,
you can only do that, once you have the money, the money to where you don't have to necessarily worry about a job, because that gives you power. Money gives you power, land gives you power, things like that. And you have the ability to pretty much do and influence the things that you're truly, truly passionate about, truly care about.
man. Yeah, dog. And the thing about it is, for that guy who worked 50 years, what were they giving his kids?
Well, they
Nothing.
gave him an award, a piece of paper to hang up, and maybe like a little raise or something, but a piece of paper to hang up on his wall. And
Hey,
I'm like,
dog. Hey, get out now. Get out of here and
he
never
was like,
come
all right,
back.
get off stage. He's like,
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, I done worked here 50 years and that's all I get, bro. I done made you rich over 50 years, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I bet you that dude wanted to live a different type life. I bet you he had more aspirations than just working there.
yeah,
I
at some
bet
point
you.
we all do, man. And like Like, think about it like this, bro. And like somebody spelled this out for me a while ago, man. And it's just I think about it so often, just because I look at my son now, man. And I but what they basically said is like think about, it's a complete and utter lie if somebody has ever told you, growing up, they said an adult said they have no dreams or aspirations in what they're doing right now. They're extremely happy with and all that kind of good stuff if they're working a 9 to 5. You can love your job and whatnot, but I guarantee you, when you were a child, think about when you were a kid, right? If you ever talk with a conversation with a kid, what do they want to be? I want to be an astronaut. I want to be the president. I want to own a business. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm going to be the richest person in the world, yada yada yada. At some point in our lives, somewhere along our journey, we look at reality, we let reality shape our goals, and we say, you know what, I'm not good enough to do that, so let me aim lower. Right? The difference between the people who truly made out their dreams and lived those out, is they silenced the haters. They believed in themselves and went out there and made it happen. And as opposed to letting the world limit them, they say, I am limitless, I am beyond, I am a conqueror, and they went out and made it happen. So just a kind of piece of off in a little tangent, but like, don't let anybody ever silence you. Really just think back to the mindset you had as a kid and all the goals and dreams you had, and hold on to those.
I mean, because God wants us to be, the best version of
Heck,
ourselves. You know what I'm
heck yeah,
saying?
man.
And it's like we settle so much because we don't know how to be nothing but average, right? And it's like all it takes is a little bit of work and a little bit of educating on the money side, right? Because I'm telling you, man, I didn't know jack about money. I thought I did.
He was a painter,
Yeah, you
an
know what I'm saying?
artist.
I mean, like I came out of college with an art history degree. You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand. I didn't understand. Like, hey, you gotta go out here and pay your bills, man. Art don't pay until you're
Hey, I
dead.
bet, I bet, I bet you knew everything about Van Gogh, though.
I did not. I didn't know jack, yo. Like Winston Salem didn't have the best art program. You know what I'm saying? So like at the end of the day, I was just trying to get out, right? I mean,
Right.
because I was playing ball. I tore my ACL my junior year. I stopped playing, but after that, I just wanted to get out. I was kind of, in a depressed state almost to it because I couldn't play ball no more, right? So like at the end of the day, man, it's like you got to be very intentional on, especially for the young folks that are graduating college, and they may have a ton of student debt, and it's like they may not even get a job, right? So you got to think, man, like how else am I going to stack it up and live the way I want to live? And there's no only the other way but accumulating assets. Like income producing assets is the only way that you're gonna be able to measure up and live the way you want to. Because I'm telling you, a 401k, bro, a 401k, it's a trap, yo. I mean, you think about it, they taking money out of your check, so that's really your money. And then when you're ready to pull it, they gonna tax you on it. How crazy is that? You know what I'm saying? America was built on the Boston Tea Party, like talking bad about taxes. Like, who wants to pay taxes? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy that people are getting taxed the way they are right now, but they don't know anything else but to get taxed, right? But for the
Yeah.
people that's out there listening, man, the book said it best, man. The rich don't work for money; they work for assets, income producing assets. So if you're hearing this and you hearing my voice right now, work towards getting income producing assets, because I don't care how much you need a month, whether it's 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. There is no ceiling. There is no ceiling to how many assets you can have and how much cash flow you can accumulate every single month. So I would, really encourage and motivate you. We do this because we buy real estate. You buy real estate, I buy real estate, and the ultimate goal is to retire and not work if you don't want to. That's the goal of the money game, right? I don't want to have to work if I don't want to. I'll probably always buy real estate because I love real estate and I love how I can leverage it with the bank, right? But at the end of the day, I don't. If I want to go on a vacation for 30 days or 60 days or however long, I know I'm still gonna get paid based on my assets bringing me cash flow every single month. I don't have to be there to get it, and I think that's what a lot of us fall short with, because I think last time I checked, it was like 280,000, 2.28 million businesses out here in the world or something like that, right? Something crazy. But it's like 24 million of them are sole proprietors, right? And that means that they're one man show. You got to have a team to basically create employees so you don't have to be there. Because I look at food trucks a lot, right? I got a couple guys, I know a couple guys that own food trucks, right? And they're one man shows, right? So like if they leave or go on vacation for a week, that means the food truck
Yeah.
doesn't operate and they don't bring in cash, right?
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, hiring employees, that's what the United States is made on. They incentivize that if you're creating jobs for other people, you don't have to pay a lot of taxes. So like that's why I love apartments, right? I love multifamily real estate, right? Because we're creating jobs. We got the the property manager, you got the maintenance people, you got people doing work on the building. You know what I'm saying? Like we're creating jobs, so therefore they give us tax deductions. So always understand that for all those people that's paying high taxes, which are getting a paycheck, and there's nothing wrong with getting a paycheck, right? So let me make that clear. There's nothing wrong with getting a paycheck. But when you start thinking that, hey, I can become wealthy based on my paycheck, America's not going to allow that because your biggest expense is taxes. And until you're able to reduce that tax liability, you're always going to be chasing that dream. And so when the check stops, just like the guy who just retired from 50 years of service to his job, which is crazy to me, he don't got nothing after he leave that job. Nothing. I mean, they gave him a piece of paper, maybe gave him a watch, and told him to kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, I gave you 50 years of my life, bro. This all I'm getting is this paper, cuz this little. They probably didn't even have food at the function.
Now it was they were awarded a lot of people. So you have people who were 40 years in,
Yeah.
50, and they were giving people tell them thank you for your service.
Now get out of here. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so like we gotta understand that. And so like financial literacy is a really, really, really important subject that our people need. And I mean even other races as well. White folks is in the same, not so much in the same boat, but there's poor white folks out there, poor Mexicans, poor it's it's a piece of everybody's poor. You know what I'm saying? But financial literacy is what we should be talking about: assets, liabilities, cash flow, and leverage. So that way, we're not listening to Dave Ramsey talking about be debt free, right? Being debt free is going to keep you poor. I mean, let's be real about it. You know what I'm saying? You could be debt free, right? And put all your money in the bank. There's no way in the hell I'm putting my money in the bank and just putting a big savings account, because that money is losing money every single month. With the dollar bill, going down as we speak, the value of the dollar bill is trash. So if you don't have your money in some type of assets, whether it's real estate, business, commodities such as gold, oil, silver, stocks, bonds, you're going to be poor. I hate to say it, but savers you're going to be poor if you're a saver. I hate to say that like that, but if you're a saver, you're gonna be poor, because eventually the market is gonna catch up with you and you're gonna lose money. I know people are out there scared to take a risk, scared to bet on something that's gonna maybe put cash flow in their pocket. But understand, if you try to be debt free, like hey Dave Ramsey style, and you put your money in a savings account, you're gonna lose money. Even if you in a CD, they ain't even paying you a 1% for a CD, bro.
Yeah, I don't even mess with CDs, so I couldn't even tell you nothing about them.
I mean, like me either. But I remember I tried to do it one time, and I was like, man, that's all I'm getting. Like, give me my money back, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
For
man. Stuff
sure.
gets crazy, man, and it's important because you can live like and I think we both you can live a great life if you work a job your whole life. You have a nice, you save well, you invest well, what have you. But most people who retire, at least after their first retirement, they gotta, if they weren't smart with their money and they just said, hey, I just put my money away in a 401k, you got to get another job. Like you're gonna have to get another job. Like people who work, say like the military. People who stay in the military for 20 years, you know, they collect their pension or whatever. Yeah, that's enough to live a pretty regular life. And with your 401k, TSP, what have you, that'll give you a nice, 1 million, $2 million that you have at like at like 45, 50ish, whatever age you are when you retire. That's not enough to sustain you for the rest of your life.
No
And
chance.
like anybody who tells you that is lying to you. Unless you live a very average life, which again, that's what you want to do, then you can. But understand that God has called you to live more, man. At some point, you had goals and dreams in your head, man. Don't let go of those. You should
Man, I
want
want
to
to I
push
want to
yourself.
live abundantly, man. I want the abundance, bro.
Yeah, 100%, bro. But yeah, hey, man, that's all I got. You got anything else? I
I
know
mean,
you.
hey, bro, just man, listen to all the folks out there, man, that's following us. Just man, hey, I know you're probably tired of the rat race. I know you probably hate your job. I mean, 80% of people hate their jobs. But man, start thinking about assets. Reach out to us, man. If you got any questions about cash flow, assets, liabilities, or leverage, man, you got Richard, you got me. Man, let's connect. Let's grow something big, and let's turn your life around. You know what I mean? And get to the best version of yourself, man. But I mean, that's all I got too, bro. But man, I enjoyed this.
Hey,
I
man.
enjoyed talking about money, bro. I mean, I'm gonna
Heck
be
yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was a good call. I want to hear. I might hit you up Sunday. Ask if you stayed after at church to go over your Dave Ramsey talks.
I will not be at that meeting. Okay,
You gonna be there with a picket sign. You gonna be out there.
dude. Like, and I hate to be like, man, hey, savers or losers. I hate to tell them that. You know what I'm saying? Being out of debt is gonna keep you poor, yo. Leverage debt, man. Leverage it. It's good debt and bad debt, yo. So, hey, to all our folks out there, man, stay up and be smart. You know what I mean? Increase your
Yeah.
financial literacy.
Heck yeah. Hey y'all. Hope this was a good call. I know we're a little bit shorter, man, but we hit some good stuff. Hope y'all enjoyed it. And if y'all need anything, reach out, man. This is the episode. This is the Assets Over Money podcast, episode 25. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Peace.